All right there, everyone. So we have officially entered into the period of Oktoberfest, where more than 6 million people from around the world gather together in German provinces to celebrate all things German with amusement parks, games, traditional foods, and dance, and of course, oceans and oceans of wonderful Oktoberfest beer. In fact, I believe that on average, something like 7 to 8 million liters of beer is drunk during this period alone. And while festivities are most associated with Bavaria's capital city, Munich, this year the festivities are becoming the site for a battle over Bavaria between the ruling Christian Social Union that have faithfully joined up with Angela Merkel's Christian Democratic Union on the one side, and the rise of the nationalist populist alternative for Germany, the AfD, on the other. The battleground is slated for October 14th, where polls suggest that for the first time since the 1940s, the Christian Social Union may in fact lose their governing majority as voters flee from the center-right party to the nationalist populist alternative for Germany. With just a few weeks to go, the CSU, or the Christian Social Union, is polling only at around 35% support, which is a record low for them. Now, while the party would still be the largest party in Bavaria, even with the 35% support, that record low number would so erode their influence that Horst Seehofer, the leader of the CSU, could end up losing his position as interior minister in Merkel's government. So the effects of a low turnout for CSU voters will be felt way beyond just Bavaria. When asked what they thought was the single most important issue facing Bavaria today, nearly 50% of voters who were polled said it was migration. We have to remember that the 1.4 million migrants who arrived in Germany since 2015 refugee crisis, they basically came through Bavaria's southern border with Austria. And of course, Austria has tightened up its borders at the behest of the nationalist right coalition there. And many Bavarians are basically saying, hey, why can't we do the same? Well, the answer to that is rather simple. The Christian Social Union would tighten up the borders if they weren't in a coalition with Angela Merkel's Christian Democratic Union and its policies of open borders. And so as a result of this coalition-based ineptitude, more and more voters are turning to the nationalist populist right, the AfD, the alternative. For Germany, already the AfD are polling as the single most popular party in East Germany. They've just recently overtaken Angela Merkel's CDU for the first time ever. Right now, the AfD is polling upwards of 30% support among Eastern Germans, while the same poll shows that Angela Merkel's CDU is in fact plummeting to about 23% support, which is the lowest, I believe, it's the lowest it's polled in the last several decades. The left-wing Social Democrats, or the SPD, they dropped to barely 15% support. So there's a clear trend towards the political right ascending and the political left faltering. And currently, the AfD are polling between 11 to 15% in Bavaria on average. There's one poll, as I understand it, that has them up around 17%. Keep in mind, the AfD has never even run in a Bavarian election before. They're literally storming into Bavaria with 15% of the vote. That's just where they're starting in all of this. It's really pretty stunning. Which brings us back to Oktoberfest. Since the end of World War II, Oktoberfest is supposed to be a rather politically neutral event. Politicians from all sides of the aisle come on out to celebrate and click beer mugs with their constituents in a symbol of social unity and harmony. And yet, as many have noted, the singing of German songs and celebration of German customs appears to be very much at the heart of an awakening for the longing of a distinctively German custom, culture, and way of life that have long been the object of suppression. German politicians have long sought to quell any notion of a revived nationalism coming back into the consciousness of the German people. And yet the AfD appear to be doing just that. They're no longer embarrassed by or seek to hide a healthy sense of German nationalism, populism, and traditional identity. They long to see a free and sovereign Germany, just like Brexit supporters long to see a free and sovereign Britain, and Italians long to see a free and sovereign Italy, and on and on and on. The AfD is giving Germans room to be in a word, German again. They're giving them room to stand up and together make Germany great again. Now, of course, you would think, well, that's scary, isn't it? I mean, given Germany's history. But one of the most interesting developments in the rise of the new nationalism that the AfD represents is that one of the key voting demographic constituencies that they are actively courting, believe it or not, is none other than Jews. A number of reports have been documenting how several prominent Jewish Germans are in fact lending their support behind the AfD. Let that hit you. A number of Jewish Germans are supporting the AfD. Now, how can that be? How can Jews be backing the resurgence of this supposed evil neo-Nazi Alternative for Germany party? Well, the obvious reason is because German Jews don't see them as Nazis reincarnate, but rather as part of a new nationalism that they, as Jews, have a vested interest in. They're very worried about the massive new anti-Semitism that they see on the horizon as a result of the million-plus Muslim refugees coming into Germany since 2015. And so while the majority of Jews in Germany certainly are not inclined towards the AfD at all, nevertheless, many Jews are attracted to the AfD, which they see as an effective line of defense against the unfettered immigration of a population whose words and actions are demonstrably far more hostile to Jews than anything the AfD has ever said or done. In fact, it helps that the AfD is actually pro-Israel. And they're not alone. Many of the contemporary nationalist right leaders like Geert Wilders of the Netherlands, they are pro-Israel, as over and against what they see as the antagonistic tendencies in Islamic nations. And we have to remember, too, that the nation of Israel, with its right-wing government, is one of the starkest examples of this very same new nationalism as the AfD. It would certainly be rather odd to plausibly refer to Israel as fascist and its government neo-Nazi. The AfD, the Fidesz, the Austrian Freedom Party, they are all pro-democracy, and they see themselves as, in fact, fighting for the restoration of democratic integrity in their own nations, as over and against the perceived totalitarian tendencies coming from the bullies in Brussels. It's no wonder, then, that scholars of the contemporary nationalist right in Europe have, in fact, formed a consensus opinion that such parties are emphatically not fascist, but rather represent simply a new chapter in the history of right-wing politics. And so as millions gather around the world to enjoy beer and sausages and music and dance and festivities and fashion, there is a very real battle brewing beneath the surface, one in which the future of Germany will ultimately be decided. Will Germany go the way the globalist left and forever forsake its customs, culture, and tradition on behalf of the transnational vision of globalism? Or will Germany restore its democratic integrity and once again embrace its national sovereignty, and in so doing, re-embrace its unique culture and customs and ways of life? We'll have the answer, at least in part, in just a matter of weeks. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Click on our Patreon link below, and please become a monthly supporter of this channel and help us to continue to analyze current events in light of conservative trends so that you can personally and professionally flourish.